All right. Just typing something in there. All right, man. What's up, Jack? All right. Yeah, I was just hey Jack, what's up, man? Yeah, I was deciding on if I was going to do something live, so I said I'll try it out because I was just updating. Hey Bob, I was just updating my laptop, which is kind of on the fritz, which is why I haven't done a video for a couple of days. I guess it's been a few days, yeah. So what's up, Jay? Yeah, so really, I had a couple people ask me a question, so I thought I'd come and talk live while I was thinking about it, or while I was thinking about it. And that's um, those that come into the truth, meaning that they've understood the lie, and they say, okay, they put their faith in Christ. They've been given the comforter. They felt that acceptance. They felt that grace. And then what? They went searching back into the world for answers. When I say world, I mean into the mind and ideas of men, meaning what do men say? What do so-called scientists say? What do these school books say? All of that stuff is just rubbish. Of course, you know that. Uh, so you then have to come to the understanding that you have to go out and do the actual work yourself. And part of that work is what I told somebody was just in fact just sending me the email, is they put in quotes that I told people not to be lazy, which is true. You can't be lazy. If you do not seek, you shall not find. That's the way that works. So I told her that just sending the email was work in itself. You know, that means that you went at least that far, because most people don't even go that far. They claim to want to know with their mouth, but with their heart, uh, they're deceived themselves, really. Because, like I've told people in the past, this may feel like it's we're all on a big plane together, which in reality we are, but we're not all in it. We're not all in the same boat. All right, meaning that because you decide that you're going to dig your heels in and you're not going to take down this idol and you're not going to crash it to the ground by your own power, because you're the only one who can actually forget or come out of belief from a spell you're under. I can show you all the different codes. The 7 code being the one that you really have to understand, which is and like I say, it's about intent. The 7 code, whether it be truth or fiction, it's the same code. You just have to have what's called discernment. And without the mind of Christ, your discernment will never be truly correct. It's always going to be a reflection of a truth. All right? Because that's what the fallen system is. It's a reflected truth, meaning that it's missing that 33%. See, that's the thing. That's the thing. People, they look at numbers. Hey, what's up, Rick? They look at numbers and then they say, okay, it stops here. I see a 33 every time, or I see a 911 every time, or I see a 7 every time. Therefore, boom, I see it, it's over. No, no, you're not even close. That's just the beginning of yet something else, right? Because you then take the 33 into the 6. The idea of now you're actually holding in your hand that idea. You've held the containment. That containment's a cube, the 68 idea. So now you can turn that system back around, right side up, because you know you're living in an upside down, a mirrored opposite reflected world. Everything is, nothing makes sense because it can't make sense. Everything is hypocrisy because it has to be hypocrisy. All right. So then once you contain that system, you can turn it upside down. You turn that 86 system, you turn it back upside down and you see it for what it is. You hold it up and you can inspect it. And that's why I was showing you in some of those other videos where I did um, the turning the pictures and even turning the drawing, is because you have to create, in order to fully understand an idea, you can see it laid out in front of you. You can see it on the plane, but then you have to give it a body if you actually truly want to inspect it and see what it's made of. So that's why you build it, right? You use itself to build itself. And that's why you can actually give it life. When I say life, I mean you can look into it and you can say, wow, that thing actually has structure, right? Because every thought is a creation, whether it be true or false, it's a creation. You've created that thought. Now, if it's something of evil intent, it depends on your intent. Because sometimes you might say something that's perceived as being mean, but you didn't mean it that way, right? It was all in just good cheer. But when I say if the intent is evil, it means that you intend to hurt somebody, whether it be physical or emotional or whatever, or reputation, or bear false witness. Like this one joker. What was his name? I'm trying to remember. Anyways, he was on the video I did with Ben. Ben, the guy, the Russian vids guy. His name's Ben. I call him Ben. All right? I like to use people's name. So the guy said, "Oh, that guy's doing cocaine, man." He's talking about me. I'm looking around. Me? This guy? Nope. Never, not once. I grew up in L.A., man. All right, and I can't even say that I ever actually saw it. You know, I have no idea. But it's just that's the type of false witness that at this level actually affects you, because now somebody else, some other joker, walks by, or surfs by on the internet and says, "Oh, I knew it," right? Because then they had their verification from a false witness, right? So then they run off, and that's how, I don't know. That's just how rumors and that type of thing gets started. But that's in everyday life. That even in work thing, unless they actually open the door to me, and then I will. Otherwise, it's just easy does it. And I just speak with those who want to be in the same room with me, meaning that there's no pressure. You don't have to stay. If you want to stay, that's great. Welcome. Um, and tokes them if you got them. I was token on some orange crush, which to me is very similar to what used to be called creamsicle. If you recall, creamsicle is the orange ice cream with the vanilla. Anyways, the bud smelt. It had that same creamy smell, if that even makes sense to you. But when you smelled it, you could almost taste it in your throat, and the smoke was just wonderful. But so I'm really just doing this. I kind of gave my little few minutes to talk, but if anybody has something to ask, uh, go for it. I have my Discord. Oh, that's what I can do. I think I can. I think I can put my Discord invite in the comments. So if you'd like to go there, you can do that, and you can ask me things there. But and if I go into the live chat, there it goes. You can. I'll just talk to you just like I'm talking to you now, because I don't do setups and I don't do bumpers, and I don't. I don't actually write things out. So it's not an excuse again, but remember all those song videos I put out. Every one of those songs, with the exception of one, and that was the original Sandy Hook song. Every other one of those was improv, and every one of those words was just made up on the fly. That's why it sounds like I have like little short gaps where I'm trying to think of the next thing to say. So anyway, because like I said, this show has absolutely no budget, zip zero nada, right? So hello, everybody in the chat. Good to see you all. I'm not sure if anybody had a question about anything. Otherwise, I can go on about something else. Oh, somebody asked about my number, the Crow 777 podcast, which brings to mind the idea of the 777, and my thoughts on that. Here's the thing about that. I have no trust with those that use the 777, only because I know what it represents. It represents going into the 21, going into the 3. It goes in the 3 being the ring that rules them all. The idea of the G, because the 3 is the 7, the 7 is the G. Remember, I walked you through that before, so that when you see that Masonic G on the square and compass, that is the 7, that is the 3, that is a representation of the world. That's what exists between your ears, your temples. That is a representation of that world. So then they are the builders of that creation. And of course, that's where you have this whole Corona hoax, where really when you're out, when you don't pay attention, you have no. It's like, wow, what's going on? Once I checked in today, I'm like, people have lost their minds. I mean, this is one of those where it's in a month from now. I don't know. Are people just going to be laughing at themselves because it's ridiculous? Oh yeah, people bringing up the idea of 1776. That's another one. You see that in their little call sign, because I like to use names because I like to know who people are. But if you see that they have, Billy Jeff 1770, guy's a joker. Forget about it. Walk away. All right. If they have the 777, again, it goes into the blackjack code, the 21, the not only the idea of blackjack in the idea of winning at a hand of poker, but the idea of blackjack getting knocked in the back of the head with this nonsense. Oh, somebody asked me if cannabis is needed to get connected or help. I don't know. Nothing is needed because God works. He gives, with freely. However, I'm only going to say this because I don't defend God's creation. God created that. So then if you have a beef with cannabis, you're going to have to beef with God. So I always refer people to those that do beef with it. I always refer them to Genesis, just read Genesis 1, 11, and 12, and maybe 21, work your way down through there. And you're going to go ahead and see how things are created for your use. Just go ahead and read on through there and see how things were placed there for you, for the things that you need. This place was created for your benefit. The sun, the moon, the stars, they are lights in the sky. They go around, they do their created purpose perfectly. They have no other purpose but than what they were created to do. Just like every seed-bearing herb and tree and fruit, it's there for a reason. So, man, that somebody was writing a note about Fritz Springmeyer's. The only reason I know that name is I ran across that name probably in 2010, maybe, and along with another guy who had kind of this lispy voice, and he did videos about the Illuminati. I'm trying to remember that guy's name now. But anyways, that's the only time I remember that guy. And if that joker's talking about the drug is used by CIA, well, the CIA is a hoax agency as well. If you're new to this, I'm not sure if you know that. The CIA, the FBI, these are nothing but just federal police departments, quite quite frankly. So then, but as far as all the international espionage stuff, that's all BS. Because international espionage is BS. It's a hoax. War's a hoax. It's controlled demolition, strategic relocation. I want to make sure you understand that. So, because a lot of people will confuse that and say, "Oh, but my dad, grandpa, my brother, my this, that, and the other thing." And sometimes people will even, out of their own mouth, try and get away with false witness of war until you tell them, "No, that didn't happen." But anyways, the idea of controlled demolition, strategic relocation, just to let you know, it's that we live on a plane which has, from sea level, deviations called depth and elevation. But on this plane, there's constant renovation. There's constant need to upgrade cities and build cities and to do all this. Well, there's men involved. And where there's idle men, there's problems, right? So in order to keep these men occupied, you go through cycles. You have a war cycle, a peace cycle, a war cycle, a peace cycle. All right. And each one of those cycles can vary in length throughout so-called history. Now, with the war cycle, you send men on these gypsy caravans all around, literally chasing their tail, right? So Group A is moved to position B, while the new guys moved into position A, and then the position B is moved to C, and A is moved to B. They never actually run into each other for real. They're always just on each other's trail. They just went through here, which is why, look at this camp, and they'll take pictures. Oh, look at this old enemy camp. They left with the stuff burning. Because it's all by design. It's just a big scam, man. So once you understand that war is a hoax, it's controlled demolition and strategic relocation, you can move into the idea of history and the idea of the pyramids around the plain, the idea of so-called the Giza plateau is nothing but a hoax as well. You know that. It was built in the late 1700s, early 1800s, by an army, quote unquote, of artists, masons, workmen. That's what that army was about, building that stuff. The same thing happened in the Central and South America. What I call them is historical Easter eggs, to where they're set up by a generation to be rediscovered by a future generation. And what amazes me about that is that these were people's fathers and their mothers who were laying these lies out for their grandchildren, and even past that, to discover and to be lied and fooled by. And you wonder what their motivation was to do that. It always boils down to the base, and that is money, the idea of serving mammon, the idea of greed, the idea of forgetting the second commandment, which is loving your neighbor as yourself. Because there's only two, right? Because the rest are encompassed. So you love God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and you love your neighbor as yourself, and all the rest are encompassed in that. So then you can work the truth down to just, let me hand it to you very simply. And if you consume it at that very simple level, then does it go down easier? Because when I hand you this little book, right? When I hand you this little book, it's going to taste sweet to you because of the way I give it to you. But then when you come to an understanding of it, when you through discernment, you see it for the truth, it will become bitter in your stomach. Because you will come to the understanding that I need to now walk out here with all these people and let them know now that this is my understanding, this is my truth, because I've witnessed this from God. I now have to witness this to you. But then you're going to get their reaction. You're going to get their scorn. You're going to get their laughter. You're going to be called a fool, which is awesome, because the truth of God is foolishness to most people here, because they're dead. They have their own minds, which are nothing but a corpse. There's no truth in there. It's animated quite literally by entertainment, by direction, by concern, by motivation, by carnal motivation. Right? So I think I went on for any other questions there. Yeah. So again, I think I started out that with the 777 idea, and that really into, oh boy, intent. And most people do not know their intent because their motivation is money, meaning that their motivation is to make a name for themselves, um, to make a brand for themselves, uh, to create an economy for themselves. To create, and most of them are creating what it used to be called, and maybe it still is called, a pyramid scheme, meaning that they're quite literally trying to they form themselves as some sort of leader, and they gather around them disciples with like joined and linked accounts, and then it just becomes a big spider's web, or a net of some sort, and people get hung up in it, unfortunately. you know yeah, because all you need, Mark, all you need is the comforter, which is your mind of Christ, right? You were brought into all knowledge. And that's another thing. I wanted to start this with this, and I hope I didn't forget to mention this. You have to start at the beginning. So again, you need to return to God naked. Everything you think you know, all of that stuff you're writing down that you think you know, scrap it. Just get rid of it. Return to God naked. Ask to be shown the truth. You will be given the comforter, the mind of Christ. Free gift. The law was given by Moses. Grace and truth given by Jesus Christ. Because that's when you truly seek, when you are naked, without shame before God. That's when you are ready. So you can't be costumed with all this nonsense. You got to get rid of it. So you're going to find yourself, you're going to feel maybe, oh, I feel vulnerable, right? Well, you're not. That's going to be the first time you've actually lived in your life. All right? Because something's going to happen. And I wish, well, something's going to happen. When it happens, you'll know about it. All right? So, but like I tell you, you need to just return to God naked. Yeah, humble, man. Just forget what you think you know, because when I tell you something, you don't. If you don't look at the sky the same way as if you look at the sky and you see and you still think planets and NASA, and that's still kind of a splinter in your mind. It's still kind of poking at you, like, is it some version of that? Is it a slight different? No, see, it's not even close. There's no comparison. Completely scrap it, because you need to be retaught, because then you'll walk out, look up, and see the truth, and be amazed when you look around at so many that don't, because it's right there. But without the mind of Christ, you cannot see it, because there's but one way out, and there is but one truth, and that is to be given the mind of Christ through the redemption through Jesus Christ. All right? So I don't want to beat people up, but that's just the way that is. And the sooner you understand that, the sooner you're out of the scam, man. Yeah, well, the idea of money is, simply put, the idea of currency. And while your only true currency in this place is time, meaning that the time you've given me today, which is almost 25 minutes now, I thank you for that, because that's you have truly given me everything that you possess for 25 minutes, right? So I that time that you spend with me, every single time I want to make sure that I give you something to eat. Given to me from God, I give it to you. All right? That's what I want to do every single time. Because your time is your currency. But within this world, money is the currency. So yeah, you have to do certain things to gain that currency so that you can exist at whatever comfort level that you're comfortable with, right? So just remember that. Yeah, love you, man. Benjamin, love you, bud. Love you, Jack. It's all good. Like I say, it's just all good. So I was thinking I wanted to talk to people who really are here looking every day for like that truth. Like I said, really take the time to go away for a while. Because it may happen immediately, it may take a little while, but yeah, just go away for a while and find quiet that mind down. Because I know that there's a lot of excitement going on at the current time. But anyways, quiet that mind down and be let out of it, because like going on at the current time. But anyways, quiet that mind down and be let out of it, because like I say, it's each person's relationship with God who then pulls them up and out of the mire that they're in. Because it's our own mind that keeps us entrapped in our so-called beliefs, entrapped under the weight of the idols that we're carrying around, the false idols we're carrying around like in a backpack. Oh my goodness, once you dump all that, you don't have to worry about it. You're free, floating around. It's easy, does it? So, yeah, is there any other questions about what's your thoughts on Eddie Bravo? I think I know who that Eddie Bravo person is. I think, but promoting, well, the flat Earth. It's promoting it. It's Here's what it is, and I've told you this before on the flat Earth. This is from observation. First, the universe, the idea of the creation itself, everything combined is the shape of a human eye. All right. So then if it's looking straight up, if you hold that in your hand and you're looking at it from the side, the flat part is where you live. Now that's best described by observation, and observation which I've completed. Somebody's mentioned Pompo. Yeah, I named it the Pompo-Schlanzen effect, only because you're looking down a straight long tube, and it's basically you're building a land telescope, and through that observation you live on a plane. This is the best definition that encompasses the truth of the matter. You live on a plane that from sea level, and I always spell it two ways: SEA line SEE, because as you notice, your perception from your eye is very important as you move up and down and you change it. All right, that has deviations called depth and elevation. Okay, so then if you're standing and you're turning with your arms straight out and you just do a slow circle around, you can say, okay, from this point that I'm standing, this place is that direction, this place is that direction, but you're pointing straight out on with your arms horizontal. All right, everything's in that direction, but it could be either in elevation up there or in depth down there. So do you see how you can take that truth, and then they can take it, and then they can confuse everybody with this ball idea, with all the other craziness that comes along with it, man. All the other craziness that you would have to believe in that nonsense. But even that's just the state of the ground you walk on, man. So you figured out the shape of that's a truth that will never change. It doesn't matter if anybody observes it or not. It is what it is, and it doesn't matter if people promote it or if they don't. It is what it is. It will always be that. So then once you understand that, and then that there's people around you saying, oh boy, who cares about all that, or we have to talk about it endlessly. Well, those people, like I've been telling people lately, is you need to leave them behind. You leave them behind, and you move forward to the next truth that you need to run into, because God is constantly speaking with you. So then you can then say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and forget God. I don't need it. I don't have time for you right now. I'm going to go listen to this other joker talk about the shape of the earth. And by when I say earth, I mean the dirt, not a ball. People confuse that. And many people probably did in their head. It, words mean things, all right? So that plane that I'm talking about. So how many times are you going to listen to people talk about that same thing? Again, if I talked about it and we just did for 2-3 minutes, I'm sorry, I just wasted 2 or 3 of your minutes. Because most of you I know already know that. And those that took any time to go outside and actually observe the place you call home, the place where you actually put your feet, you would know this. You know it's not what they're telling you. You know it's not that fairy tale. So every minute you spend in there or defending it or become what do they call it, an apologist, that's all wasted time. Right? So yeah, so that's why I would like to talk to you about when I do have this time with you about the real things, about the idea. So if I tell you about those codes, I want you to go out there and test it. All right? Because if you insist on staying there, I want you to at least listen to me and say, okay, I'm going to stay here watching this TV news every day, but I'm going to listen to this guy. Let me see if this 7 code actually is legit. Let me put it to the test. Go ahead and put it to the test. And once you put it to the test, you're going to say, man, okay, that's real. So what does that mean? And then that leads the next thing to the next thing to the next thing. And you're just going to wind up losing interest in that, meaning that your concern for it, your love of that light just dissipates because you grew above it. You grew up and over it. You're standing on it, right? So you realized it was a lie at that moment. But then here's what happens. Don't get caught in the next one. Don't get caught in the next one. So that's why I'm showing you those videos where I'm spinning it. And you see that the deception, the story that's the deception when spun creates a web. Because once you get past the easy stuff, to get to the end, to get path, there's a lot of webs that you need to avoid. But you know what? The way to is to not concern yourself with them. Because remember, I told you in my CERN video what the idea of CERN is. The idea of CERN is to create ideas, to create light. Okay, because all light is ideas. Okay, and when I say that, I said, and God said, "Let there be light." He wasn't talking about the sun and the moon and the stars. That happened later. He was talking about the idea of truth, Christ, because without Christ, nothing was created. Right? You were told that. So how did you then forget it? How do you know that to be the truth and then not apply it to everything you run into? Right? That's the easiest way to do that. So, anyways, yeah, well, exactly. J. Hall says it where you have, well, Satan is the false light, but that's the whole fallen system I'm telling you about. That's every single newspaper, every single TV channel, all of it, all politics, all history, all so-called war remembrances with all those old men with their little hats who I call the professional vet who show up every single time because they want to get a free hot dog. It's like, really, you're going to sell your soul for a hot dog? See, that's what annoys me. That's what annoys me. And I'm not, let me not get too annoyed because I don't have a toke right next to me right here. But I see these people who should know better, who know they're getting over on you. In fact, this one guy, I'll tell you this story here. this one guy said, I was going down the street and I had that new M16 with the upgraded grenade. I was using incendiary rounds, right? And I said, yeah. And he goes, there's that building there. And I was going to shoot it over. And I said, yeah, it's all angles, right? He's like, yeah, it's all angles. And he goes, man, I shot that thing over. And then it hit a something. It blew up. So we went around. And I said, yeah, what happened? He said, we went around and there was like an old Chevy. And I went up to it. And I looked in the back window. And I said, yeah, what'd you see? He goes, there was a little girl plastered on the window. And I said, that's great, man. That's awesome news. I said, that's a great story. It just didn't happen. And then he goes, but, and I said, no, it didn't happen, man. Come on. One, I know you were in the Air Force, right? And two, I know they don't just give dudes incendiary grenades and have them shooting off over buildings and crazy stuff. And no, you didn't plaster some little girl against the back window. Oh, and I forgot. He mentioned this too before I shut him down. He said, and you know what? I was thinking that could have been my little girl. I said, no, it couldn't have been. Stop it. I mean, really? This dude tried to pull that number on me. I was like, good grief. And he's shameless about it because after it was over, it's like he just turned off. He pretended like it didn't happen. And we just kept going on with what the work we were doing. In the Navy, they call those sea stories. They're called sea stories. If somebody says, I have a sea story for you, they're about to BS you. Because if you're telling somebody the truth, what you do is you walk up and you say, dude, this is a no-shitter. And if they say that means, oh, okay, now what's up? That means they're about to tell you something real. And they're like, oh, yeah, we're heading out at 10 o'clock or whatever. So that's what that's about. I find that fun, Oh, yeah, so let's see. Anybody else got a question? Yeah, about the Titanic and all that. Well, all those remembrances are all really versions of the same thing. They're all to take you from a state of grace and truth and peace into a state of mourning for people you could care less about, really. They send like 200 years ago, this guy and the other guy. You're like, yeah, I don't really care. You're like, no, you must be mourning because the flags are at half staff. So it's like you must show something on your face, and if you don't, well, I choose not to. Oh yeah, if you take a look at I also did re-uploaded an old video from 2010, I want to say, the Jack the Ripper hoax, or maybe it was 2011, but it was Jack the Ripper hoax, and it was one that was taken from the actual so-called police reports. And within that, you actually see what's called the 9/11 code, and the 9/11 code is really it's the idea of bringing down the idea down to its cornerstone or its basement again, meaning it's going to reconstruct at that point. So once that 9/11 code is used, then a story is about to start over, or meaning they're about to build a new layer upon it. So it's usually those are tone changers. Just like you look at 9/11/2001 as just a date, it's just a version of the Samson idea of bringing down the temples, right? So it's just a repeat of a story. So you have Samson pushing down the temples, and that's a 9/11 story. All right. He brought down the temples upon who? The rulers and the people. Okay. Then that idea is then replayed with a slightly different script for a new audience in a new generation, where you have controlled demolition buildings where please let anybody know, anybody should know this, that they were just controlled demolition buildings. There was no planes. There was, all that was BS. Okay. They were just controlled demolition. Nobody died. Nobody got, period. All right. It was just, they had to come down. They just, instead of turning it into, just telling everybody, hey, these buildings need to come down, blah, 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 they just turned it into a big scare story. And quite literally used it, as I told you they would back when I did the Chris Dorner thing. I told you they were going to use that, just like they're doing with the corona hoax. They use a hoax, a lie, to gain real results. But the real results are always in the form of containment. And by containment, I mean by physical or travel restriction, or just inconvenience. It really just puts you in a state that travel becomes uncomfortable. So then you become more of a homebody. So then through discomfort, they train a behavior, all right? And then they'll come out with stories that reinforce that behavior by saying, 72%, the old 72 code, 72% of adults and college-age children choose not to travel this year. They'll put something out as a truth, which is complete nonsense, but it's to reinforce these other ideas that they've been pushing towards you. So then it becomes a reality. Because, yeah, it's easier to control masses when you kind of know where everybody's at, right? So you do live in a control system, because that's what this is. But the way to get out is not through the body, it's through the mind. And the only mind that gets you out is the mind of Christ. All right? That's like if I had to boil it down to one takeaway from this video, I just gave it to you. All right? So then your mind is brought out, but your body's left here, which is why we're here talking. And while we're here talking, that's when I confess, when I witness the light of Christ to you. And then I pray that you then go out and you test it. You put it to action. You put it to proof in your life. Words that I'm telling you from my mouth, as much attention as you give those to people who lie to you every day. Right? And I'm not even actually asking you to believe me. I'm saying you go to God and you say, hey, God, listen to me. There's this guy named DaveJ. This guy said this. Is that true? And then let God teach you through the Comforter, through the mind of Christ. Let him teach you, and then it's no thanks to me, because I had nothing to do with it. I was shown the same thing. All right? Which is the beauty of it. Because let no man boast, because all men are liars. Oh, I missed a question here from Benjamin. Are our rulers human like us? Oh, rulers, yeah. Here's the thing about that. So the people you see in charge, like the politicians, all those jokers, reduce everything to tribes and family. All right? Reduce everything to tribes and family. So within the tribes and family, you have all the extended family. And with that extended family, you have quite a large population of useful people to use in these puppet different positions. However, those that are actually causing direction, true direction, let's say through economy or through social structure or through litigation law, maritime type law, sea law, those minds, those people have given up their mind of Christ. They have given their mind to the system. They're nothing but useful idiots for the system. So while they are men physically, women physically, in body physically, their mind is actually under the control of the fallen system, the fallen light. So then if I say then that I'm telling you this with the mind of Christ, meaning that the revelation that I then share with you was shared with me through the mind of Christ, that light, their revelation to you, which is always a lie, which is always of their father and always of their father's mind, who is the father of lies. Okay? So then you test all spirits. That's what that's about. And by spirits, that don't start thinking like a, like a seance thing. Just think words, because all words have power. So listen to every word that's spoken to you. Listen to every word that's spoken to you. Understand the meaning of those words that were spoken to you in the context that they were delivered to you. Test those words in that context directly. And if they prove to be true, then you keep them. If they prove to be false, you dismiss them. Right? No big deal. Right? And who cares about all that 5G, as far as just understanding that, yeah, you know about it, it's out there, but don't be scared of it. And don't think that, and don't, please, nobody, join any groups or concern groups about doing anything about this stuff. And I'm only speaking with those that claim to be followers of Christ, because that's not our fight. The world's not our fight. We're here to spread the light of Christ, meaning that you have all these people wandering around in darkness. And when I say darkness, that's the fallen dark light. That's the Easter egg colors. All right. I've shown you that. I've shown you that before. It's in the limelight idea. It's in in that video I did about the limelight. That's talking about the fallen idea about the reverse colors, and the idea of if I see something that can be this, it can also be this, depending on whose mind you're using to interpret it. All right. So, and believe me, there's only two. You have the mind of Christ, which is the truth, or you have the mind of who you choose to be, your adopted father, and that's the liar. All right. That's it. It's the way it works. All right. Because this world is full of lies and liars and stories and snakes. And I've told you this before. The snake is the serpent, which was told to you would crawl on your belly and eat dust all the days of your life, because you chose that path. Right? So then what happens when a serpent, now spell it out if you have to, I've told you this before, when a serpent repents, the same letters, different meaning, right? One is a nature in death. One is actually repentance, a changing of the mind, and then becoming life through Christ. You are reborn. You are given new life. You are given your Christ mind. You are given what's called the comforter. And it sounds exactly what it is. It's a comforter in this place, because this place is going to then come against you. This place will come against you, but they will not touch you, because they do not have the power, because you are under the protection of God. And you will speak your witness, and you will speak it truthfully. And the world will either hear it or they will dismiss it. They turn their back on Christ. What do you think they're going to do with you? Right? So then that's what always keeps men humble. So if they did that to him, then what? If one person listens to me, I'm happy. 2, 3, 4 better. 5, 6, 7, 8 better. 20 even better. As long as those people are actually out then testing what I'm saying. Right? Because I would quite literally have one honest mind in a room than a billion dishonest minds. Right? I'd rather have somebody say that, I don't know that, instead of making something up, or then saying what I heard was, well, what you heard was BS. And you should have known that. I mean, just take what I told you and just go around work or wherever you're at tomorrow and just listen to conversation. Listen to the numbers people use. They'll use the 7 code even in their own stories when they're telling you a lie. They'll use the 7 code. It's just the way it is. And the sooner you understand that there is a base code to this place, the sooner you can decode it like a language right in front of you, right as it comes out, real time, even as people are speaking with you. When I listen to somebody, I only need a couple words out of their mouth to discern their tone. I can hear it in them. I can hear the motivation in their voice. All right? Which is why no poison will affect you. Poison. The sin of man's lips. Because a man can spiritually murder you endless times a day with their wickedness of their tongue. That double-edged sword. But a man can bring life to you through the witness of Christ as well. Right? And then guess what? You're brought into life not by the hands of man, by any man. You are brought into life through the light of Christ. And like, as I told you before, when you know that, you know it. When it happens, it happens. So then, what I want to say was thank you, everybody, for spending some time with me. Like I say, I appreciate you guys, because it really is the only currency that you have is your time. So I ask that you spend it wisely. If you take any advice from me at all, I would ask that don't waste your time with people that you know are just continually sending you back into an 8 or a figure 8. The idea of you continually coming back, and I don't like to say it this way, it's graphically the way it works. You return to your own vomit. You're a dog that returns to its own vomit. You decided this was a lie yesterday, you threw it out of your mouth, and yet the next day you return to it, thinking that somehow it became the truth. No, it didn't happen. So then move on. It's like, okay, that's this, that's that. Get it out of there. Sweep it out your temple, like I told you. Return to God naked. The sooner you let that happen, the sooner everything else happens. Because the place that you're at now is not even close to being interesting, right? And I'm only speaking with those that do not understand the nature of what I'm saying. What you're about to see is even, it's hard to describe, but it's beyond words, actually, to be quite honest with you. But that's what you have to look forward to. Because most people, and when I say most, and I say most, it's because almost everybody I speak with, it has some tether still to the world, which will, by its nature, disconnect them from God. That's just the way that works. It really is. It's like once you serve one master, you cannot serve the other master. You can't serve two masters. You can't stick a toe on one and hug the other. Because there's still intent there. There's still intent there. Your mind is still divided. I'm holding this guy, but I also have a second thought that I always need to keep pushing my toe, make sure I'm touching the other guy. See how your mind's divided into two actions? So yeah, like I say, if you love this life, you're going to lose it, all right? In the end. All right? So instead, just gain the true living water, true life, the true light, and that is through Christ, all right? So that's all I can say. All right? Oh, I see one more question here. Where did 7? Okay, well, the idea of the 3 7s together and the GGG, it's the same thing. All right, you can look at it two ways. You can say, okay, 777, being that you've already built those, you can take the shapes and just twist them like a puzzle, and you'll see a very interesting display. Or you can just take the numbers, which is 21, which reduces, and you always have to reduce to the 9 or below. So 21 reduces to 3, which is the ring. And that, I talked to you, Jay Hall, before, was the ring is the tone. Think of ringing a bell. That sound you hear, that ring, is the containment of the idea given to you. So there's a coronavirus ring. Ding! That initial story is going to be 7 coded. You're going to have 3 7s within the first 2 paragraphs. That's just the way that goes. As details are added to the story, it's gonna move into the eights. It's gonna be 8 coded, okay, and it's just gonna be numbers that reduce down to the number 8. The reason being is it's an infinity. It's you again being the serpent, the snake, eating that tail. So you have to be constantly fed your concern, because if you stop, if you're not fed details every single day, you'll lose interest and they'll lose your mind. So with those hoax stories, it's all about keeping you occupied and away from the truth of God for minutes, days, weeks, years, even sometimes. All right. uh oh, Jack was asking if I was going to do it weekly. Yeah, I only get on it when uh I just feel like inspired to talk about something, because the more you speak, the less people hear, to be quite honest with you. Because how many different things have I told you that have gone in one ear and out the other, if you haven't really been taking notes, or something that I'm gonna have to listen to, again. So it's like sometimes less is more. So I can't guarantee I'll be back here, but I'll be back when I'm back. So yeah, the devil is in the details. The idea of the details, which is the 8, which is why when you hear all these sayings, the devil in the details, and all these other little sayings, listen to what they're actually saying. Listen to the words, because they have a lot of meaning to them, and they're truisms, or they're passed down for reasons. Because there's truth in this statement. The devil, the lie, because I already told you the devil is the lie. It's the liar. It's that power, or the light that the lie is given. Because look at the lie of just the any example you have. Look at the current lie of Corona. Look at that lie. Look at that initial 7 code, that idea of the Zion that was put into your temple, and they're trying to build it into a truth, which you will then store there as an idol, meaning you believe that you will like knock somebody's block off if they tell you it's a hoax. But they're trying to get you to that point. But if you take that idea before it becomes idolized, you can smash it out of there, and that's by looking by 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 skipping the details, or skipping your concern. Because like I told you, if you're not concerned about it, you won't pay attention to it. So that's why the details always they like 8, but they also like to have a lot of tear jerking, tear jerking, crocodile tears, um, and then all those other type of almost like the Jerry Springer-ish type of details. That's put into a lot of the details, because that's what keeps people interested, unfortunately. And like I said, all the every minute that's spent on any of those stories, it doesn't matter if it's entertainment, sports, politics, this, that, and the other thing. Every minute spent in there is 1 minute spent away from the truth of God. So, like I say, that's your time. You invest it as you see fit. All right. So yeah. So well, somebody was asking. No, I don't think anybody's asking anything. Okay. So yeah. So anyways, cheers, guys. We'll talk to you next time. Have a good one.